Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're looking at something pretty fascinating happening right under our noses, really.
Yeah, it's this whole idea of connecting with international students and, recent immigrants here in the U.S.
Exactly. And you brought in some really interesting material, especially from Douglas Shaw and Bob Norsworthy's book, The World at Your Door.
Right. From International Students, Inc. It really highlights this global cross-current happening locally.
It really does. And the scale is just, well, it's huge.
Oh, it's massive. You're talking over 726,000 international students right now.
700,000. Wow.
Yeah. And think back to 2006 data, over 1.2 million new permanent residents in just that 1 year.
And that's not even counting everyone else, right?
Yeah.
Temporary workers, others.
Exactly. So the number of people bringing global perspectives into into your everyday life is immense.
It really is.
Yeah.
And Beverly Watkins, in the Chronicle of Higher Education, she pointed out the U.S. hosts more than any other country.
Yep. Nearly a third of all students study abroad globally end up here.
And here's a kicker you pointed out. Richard Kresno's finding, what was it, like 75% use non-U.S. funds?
Almost three-quarters, yeah. They're primarily funded from outside the U.S., which tells you something, right?
It tells you these are often, accomplished people, maybe future leaders.
Yeah.
Coming here with resources specifically for our education system.
Precisely. They're investing heavily to be here.
So our mission today for this deep dive is really to unpack why this interaction between us, our communities, and these individuals is such a unique, maybe even transformative opportunity for everyone, for you listening to.
Absolutely. It's about seeing this global shift playing out, potentially right next door.
Okay, let's get into it. Shaw and Norsworthy have this concept, a reverse Great Commission. That sounds intriguing.
It is, isn't it? The traditional idea is, sending people out, missionaries, aid workers, whatever.
Right. Go out into the world.
But they're saying, hang on, a huge part of the plan, maybe, is reaching the world that's literally coming to us.
Huh. They connect it back to the Bible, right? Acts.
Yeah, the early chapters, people came to Jerusalem from all over, learned things, and then went back home.
Taking new ideas with them. So the implication now is?
Well, the implication is that the world's future leaders, the brightest minds, are temporarily living right here in your town, maybe down the street.
That reframes things quite a bit. It's not just about us going there.
Not anymore, or at least not only that, it's a two-way street happening right here.
So thinking about these students and immigrants,
Yeah.
what brings them here? What are their main goals? You mentioned education and tech.
Those seem to be the big drivers, yeah. Getting a degree from a prestigious U.S. university, accessing cutting-edge technology and know-how.
So they have very clear academic, maybe career ambitions.
Definitely. But what's interesting is their focus might be pretty narrow initially. They might not be thinking much beyond those goals.
Not necessarily looking for, say, deep cultural exchange or philosophical debates right off the bat.
Probably not top of mind for many, They've got a mission, get the degree, learn the skills.
Which leads to another key point, this idea of vulnerability.
Right.
It can't be easy arriving in a totally new country.
No, it's incredibly challenging. Think about it. Loneliness, being far from family, friends, their whole support system.
Right. And just the practical stuff must be overwhelming.
Totally. Figuring out housing, banking, transport, even just grocery shopping can be a confusing experience at first.
Yeah, I can only imagine. So this vulnerability, how does it create an opportunity?
Well, that difficult adjustment period, it can actually create a kind of openness. Richard Krasno observed this, a sort of respect and maybe a searching quality.
Because they're away from their usual context, family pressures, maybe political or religious expectations back home.
Exactly. They're in this unique space, maybe for the first time, where they can explore different ideas, ask questions they couldn't ask before without those immediate pressures. An opportunity for you to potentially offer a friendly face, a listening ear.
So a time when new friendships, maybe new perspectives, feel more possible.
It seems that way. Which brings us to why the sources call this strategic. Why is engaging with international students seen as so important, strategically speaking?
Right. What's the thinking there?
It really boils down to their future influence. These aren't just any students. Often they are, like we said, the future leaders.
The potential presidents, ministers, CEOs.
Precisely. Shaw and Norsworthy share that anecdote, right? About the student who got called back home because he was being considered for his country's presidency.
Wow. Imagine having had a positive connection with someone like that, the ripple effect.
Exactly. The long-term impact could be enormous, influencing policy, international relations. things that affect you.
But it can cut both ways, can it?
Yeah.
There was that other example, the negative one, Hamasawoki.
Yeah, that's the cautionary tale. A student who studied here but developed a deep anger towards America, and he later played a role in planning the Pearl Harbor attack.
Chilling. It really drives home that these experiences here, positive or negative, can have real historical consequences that touch all of us.
It absolutely does. These interactions matter, potentially on a global scale.
Okay, but let's shift back to the positive potential, because the material had some really powerful stories.
Oh, definitely. Like the student who became a major venture capitalist.
Right, with global influence, investing everywhere, and apparently even sharing his personal beliefs with, like, a huge tech CEO.
That's incredible reach, starting from connections made while he was a student here.
Shows that ripple effect quite clearly.
Yeah. Or the professor, now back in Asia, who mentors the children of Islamic heads of state.
Yeah. And his perspective was shaped while he was studying in the U.S., reaching people in circles that are usually very closed off.
It just shows how these personal connections can bridge massive cultural and political divides in ways you wouldn't expect.
And maybe the most surprising one was about Iran.
Ah, yes. The American Islamic cleric expressing concern about a growing Christian movement there.
And attributing it partly to students who became Christians while studying here in the U.S. and then went back.
I mean, that's a massive unintended consequence, right? Potentially reshaping religious landscapes.
It really underscores that global change can start with these very personal, local encounters. These students go back and, as the book says, they reproduce their faith.
It's a powerful idea, a grassroots thing, potentially.
So for someone listening thinking, okay, this sounds important, but what do I do? It seems like the advice isn't about needing special skills.
Not at all. That's really key. Shaw and Norsworthy emphasize simple, genuine kindness, hospitality.
It's just being welcoming,
What?
offering friendship.
Exactly. Those basic human things that you can offer. Open your home, maybe share a meal, help with practical things.
And then if a relationship develops,
Yeah, as trust builds, opportunities might naturally come up to share what you believe, answer questions they might have, but respectfully, authentically. It's not a program, it's friendship.
and the impact goes beyond just that one person, right? Because many students come from places, well, places that are traditionally hard to reach.
That's a huge point. Countries closed off to traditional missions or outreach. And of course, immigrants are already building lives here, representing cultures you might never otherwise encounter.
So it creates this kind of multiplying effect.
It really can. Someone embraces a new perspective here, maybe a new faith. They take it home.
And share it with family, friends, their community.
And you, sitting here, might never directly see those ripples, but they can spread incredibly wide. It's global engagement starting in your own neighborhood.
So wrapping this up, it feels like the big takeaway is that this presence of international students, of recent immigrants, it's not just a statistic. It's a genuine unfolding opportunity right in front of you.
Yeah, a chance to widen your own world, learn from others, and maybe, just maybe, have a positive impact that reaches further than you can imagine.
One connection at a time.
Which leaves us with a final thought, something for you to consider. Think about that interconnectedness. How might a simple conversation you have this week, an act of kindness in your community, ripple outwards?
Yeah, you might never know the full story, the downstream effects.
Exactly. What potential for mutual growth, for understanding, is maybe waiting just around the corner. It's a powerful thought. Global change often has very local, very unexpected beginnings, perhaps even starting with your very next conversation.